Folks, if you listen to this long enough, you hear the show long enough, and you listen to the debt-free screams long enough, you find there's two types of people with money. Well, there's a lot of types of people, but people fall largely into two buckets. There's the bucket of people who are doing their debt-free scream, or someone like the young lady we interviewed in our lobby just a few minutes ago. They are happening to their money. The other bucket of people is the people, the money happens to them. Dr. Stephen Covey used to say in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the number one habit of highly effective people is they are proactive. They happen to things. Everything doesn't happen to them. You make the assumption that we can't control all the external variables in our life, but we are largely in charge of our own destiny. Or we stand back and shake our head and wonder why everything bad happens to us. You either tell your money what to do, or you wonder where it went. Money flows from people who do not manage it to the people who do manage it. If you take someone who manages money well and as a result has become wealthy, and they lose everything, they will become wealthy again. Because the things that made them wealthy that did not leave when the money left. And when you take someone who does not manage money well and they're given a pile of money, have you ever noticed they end up with nothing? Because they don't happen to their money happens to them. Case in point, lotto winners. Someone wins the lottery, the bankruptcy rate is fourfold the national average. 4 times as likely to file bankruptcy if you win the lottery as not. Isn't that weird? The vast majority of lotto winners, a decade later, have nothing. Because the very thing that caused them to play the lotto in the first place gives you an indication that you're gonna lose it. Why some athletes, when they get money, end up with nothing. Because the only skill they've got is athletic skill. They had no character, no ability to manage the money, no ability to say no, no ability to have good relationships and boundaries. Those are the things that lead you to build wealth. And so wealth is an intentional act. Now, bad stuff can happen to people, and sometimes people are poor because people are oppressing them. I understand that. I'm not picking on the poor. That's not what I'm doing. But what I am saying is that sometimes you're where you are because of a series of decisions you've made. As a matter of fact, usually you're where you are. And you can make new decisions. You don't have to, well, my family, the way I grew up in my neighborhood, my people, those are how sentences start when people are going to explain why they're losing and it's not their fault. The little man can't get ahead. People like me, you don't understand about the isms that are out there. Yeah, I do. Isms are real. They're real. But I meet people every day who overcome their isms. Sexism, racism. People overcome their isms all the time. Hard work, hustle, smarts, looking forward, controlling the destiny. Can everybody do it? Apparently everybody can do it, but most people choose not to. They choose not to control the variables in their life. And so it comes down to something as simple in personal finance as doing a budget. When you do a budget, it is you exercising the fact that you believe you control your destiny. If you are a victim of destiny, why would you ever do a budget? If you're going to be controlled by an ism, if you're going to be controlled by the way you grew up, if you're going to be controlled by people in my family, people of my heritage, people of my ethnic background, people of, you fill in the blank, if you're going to be controlled by that, I grew up on the other side of the tracks, Dave. Most millionaires did, by the way. The vast majority of millionaires grew up on the other side of the tracks. The only difference in them and the next door neighbor that's still on the other side of the tracks is they decided they didn't want to live there. So they picked their butt up and they moved to the other side of the tracks. They lived like no one else so that later they could live and give like no one else. Consequently, we see things like the 5 million families that have been through Financial Peace University. You know what the number one data point between them being successful are the ones that are successful going through that, getting out of debt, and the ones that aren't? The number one data point is to do a budget. We can predict your success in Financial Peace University by the second class. It's 9 classes when you go through, 9 lessons. The second lesson, we can tell if you're going to be successful. Did you come in with your zero-based budget done in every dollar the way we teach you? No, I've got my own version of Dave Ramsey. I've got my own version of smart. I'm Ish. I'm Dave Ramsey Ish. I'm going to do Financial Peace University Ish. You're not going to make it. Our data, when 5 million people do something, you got good data, okay? We got good data. We know exactly who's going to make it and who's not. We can study your behavior and tell you, if you keep on this path, you are going to fail. And you've already started down the wrong path, so you got to turn around and go back and start again. The people that do their every dollar budget complete the class. They typically go to all 9 lessons. They stay in the membership for a year, continuing to watch online. They download the podcasts. They watch the debt-free screams on YouTube to stay inspired, to stay on their budget. How interesting. They were sick and tired of being sick and tired. They said, I'm not going to be those people anymore. I am going to control these variables. I'm going to control my destiny. Do sometimes their transmission go out? Does sometimes there a car wreck? Does sometimes somebody get cancer? Does sometimes somebody die? Yes, sometimes tragedy happens. Yes, sometimes they get laid off. Yes, but guess what? They get up and do it again. Sometimes they get knocked on their butt and they get back up and they do it again. And you get back up and you do it again when you have a plan and when you believe you're in control of your destiny. If you fall off your budget and you mess up, you get back up and you do it again. You don't take the Every Dollar app off your phone, which, by the way, it's fairly easy to put back on because it's free. And you sit down there and you do your budget. The correlating statistic between people that win at anything and people that lose are those that are intentional. People that win are intentional. You don't accidentally win the freaking Super Bowl. They never interview the guys at the end of the Super Bowl and go, how'd you do that? I don't know, man. I just got off the bus and I just won. I have no idea. No, it's an intentional act of a decade plus, 2 decades usually, of practice and skill development that brought them to that. 10,000 hours of practice brought them to that. You don't accidentally play a guitar like Brad Paisley. It's not an accident. It's an intentional act.